Yeah, Len, Tanisha Hudspeth says that everything has gone pretty smoothly today. Obviously, at the beginning of Election Day, there are always some hiccups, but she says there were no major issues. Right now, we're standing inside election headquarters. This is basically a warehouse near Bush Airport, and they've transformed this, as you can see, into a huge area where all these election workers will be counting ballots. Right now, those ballots have not arrived yet. All the ballots that were cast today will be on their way here to election headquarters. We're expecting the first batch of ballots to arrive within the next half hour or so. As you mentioned, we spoke with Tanisha Hudspeth just a little bit ago about how today went. I also asked about getting those ballots here in a timely manner. We know Harris County is a large county, and this is near Bush Airport. So if you're a voter who went to a location that's farther away from here, you can imagine it'll take some time for those ballots to arrive here. So here's what Tanisha Hudspeth had to say about that and how voting has gone today.
Today is the end of Election Day. Well, for some, because we still have voters in line voting at some of our vote centers throughout Harris County. Polling locations closed at 7, but every single voter that was in line by 7 o'clock p.m. will still be processed. And yes, we still have voters in line, so that's a good sign. They're making sure they cast their ballot in the November 4th election. Early voting and mail ballot results are in. You can find the results at harrisvotes.com. Unofficial results. So early voting in person and mail ballots was 212,835 voters. 212,835. That's the amount of individuals who voted by the end of early voting. That was about 8% of the vote. Election day so far, over 226,000 voters. And like I said, voters are still voting. Election totals so far, a little over 430,000 combined. But again, that number will continue to move. Results are on Harris Votes and will be updated throughout the evening. As vote centers shut down this evening, election judges will return equipment to one of the 5 regional centers across Harris County, which includes election headquarters where you're standing right now. So again, those election workers, if they still have voters, they're processing those voters, will finish paperwork and forms and documents, and then they will proceed to close down the poll and continue on with compliance to get to the closest regional collection site. Unofficial results will be posted on harrisvotes.com at regular intervals throughout the night. The timeliness of the results this evening is driven by how promptly our judges close their polls and deliver equipment to their designated regional collection centers. So in terms of calls and tickets that we've received for today, there was about 46% of voters calling regarding vote centers. Where can I go vote? As you all know, here in Harris County, voters can vote countywide. So voters had a choice of 600 different vote centers to vote at. About 13% about voter registration. When it comes to behind the scenes in vote centers, about 17% on equipment, another 17% on processing voters. This is how we support our election judges throughout the day, and another 16% for election services and procedural questions. This is no different from any other election. On the start of Election Day, we're taking calls throughout the day, and at the top of the morning, while we're all working out the kinks, including election judges, we are processing and supporting election workers throughout the day. So I hope that if you're watching and you voted today, that you told one of the election workers, thank you for serving, for stepping up to serve. Are there any questions? Yes, well, we surpassed. The question is in regard to how the turnout has surpassed previous elections. This is an odd year. I know people mean, what does odd year mean? Well, it's not a midterm or presidential. And so we surpassed numbers from 2015, which we compared to, and we're really, really close to the 2023 off-year election. So, like I said, voters are still voting, so it's going to be interesting to see what the last numbers will be. So stick with us, because we're sure to continue moving through the night. Thank you for that question. Any other questions?
Yeah, County Clerk, I know there are 600 vote centers. It's the largest county in Texas, third largest in the country. What measures are put in place to make sure that all the ballots being brought here to election headquarters is done as fast and as smoothly as possible?
That's right. The question is in regard to all the preparation our office handles leading up to Election Day. We are the third largest county in the nation. We are the size of 25 states combined and the largest in the state of Texas. And so when it comes to preparation, we are preparing 9 to 12 months prior to Election Day. So what does that mean? as we are conducting this election right now, we are already preparing for the midterms next November. And what are we doing throughout that time? We're recruiting election workers to serve, to train throughout that time. We're also implementing new legislation. There was a legislative session that took place earlier this year, and many procedures from behind the scenes are being worked on to make sure they're implemented by the time frame, and future measures. We're working on our equipment, making sure that everything is audited and prepared prior to that election. And also, the biggest one of them all, 600 locations doesn't just fall out of the sky, right? So around the year, we are working hard to make sure we meet ADA compliance, and we're working with facilities across the county to be available to be vote centers. So it truly is an around-the-clock operation, and we have a robust staff that does that. There were 6,600 election workers in the field today, but by the time we get to midterms next year, we're anywhere from 12 to 15,000 election workers.
I just wanted to ask for tonight in terms of bringing all the ballots here.
Sure.
Kind of what's being done tonight.
Yes.
That's
Sure, thank you for reiterating that. As every single vote center closes tonight, every judge will go to one of our 5 regional collection sites. At those regional collection sites, we'll go through their compliance measures to bring in those boxes. Once those boxes are brought in, then we will start tallying and sending in information that will come here to a central count. So we will be here until every single regional collection site is finished. This is the last stop for tonight. So it's going to take quite a while for 600 election workers or 600 sites to get to those 5. And the last final stop is bringing all that equipment here to election headquarters. Thank you for reiterating. Any other questions? So the question regarding a software transition, it was actually the Secretary of State that had an upgrade to their team system. Harris County did not take that software upgrade. We actually have a system that we're working on here, but working to intertwine those have been around the clock leading up to Election Day. And happy to say, by the time early voting began, we worked to the very last minute with the Secretary of State to make sure every voter was qualified to vote by the time early voting started. Thank you. Any other questions? Say that one more time. Any issues? So no major issues where voters could not vote. Everyone was able to vote today. As we said earlier, over 226,000 people were able to cast their ballot. In the morning, there could be some things or things that come up throughout the day, but we have techs in the field to address any concerns, and individuals who are able to, be able to address things in real time. So no issues in terms of voters not being able to vote. Yes, thank you for that question. Any other questions? Yes. I've not received a direct report about a certain vote center, but there is a wait time feature on the website. And so election workers are the ones who update that vote center wait time. Could be that they're so busy that they're not updating it in real time. Again, the wait time is a green, yellow, or red. If it's green, go. Yellow means a little bit of traffic. Red very well could mean that there's a line, but it's really hard to tell unless we have some direct examples. Again, the election workers might get busy, but they're asked to update those wait times in certain increments. Thank you. Sure.
Also, was curious about if you were able to tell this time turnout differences between the more urban parts of the county and the
Not yet. You're a little too early on the data in terms of urban versus inner city, but we could get to that a little bit later. Obviously, you all know, as you look at the results, we had everything from a special congressional race to a special City of Houston race down to propositions. And so those results are available now on harrisvotes.com. We will continue to update those results throughout the rest of the evening.
Now, earlier in that press conference, you saw Harris County Clerk Tanisha Hudspeth and I talk about those 5 regional collection sites. One of them is here at election headquarters. And again, that's where election workers, once they wrap up their polling locations, are dropping off their equipment. You can imagine that will take quite a bit of time, especially with some polling locations having voters still in line by 7 o'clock. Again, over here, you can see over my right shoulder that there are some surveillance cameras. Those are the 4 other collection sites across the county where that equipment is being dropped off right now. Again, we're expecting those first batch of ballots to arrive here at election headquarters in the next half hour or so. We, of course, are going to stay out here and see how that process unfolds as those ballots get here and start to be counted.